Hello everyone and welcome again to this webinar. I think this time will not have any problems again. So I propose you to wait a few minutes and to begin the webinar. Well, I think we can start now. So hello everyone and welcome again to this webinar. I'm really happy to be with you today and to present you the topic of the day, which is the road towards CTV advertising. So I'm Jeremy Hardy, business developer at Dataxis, and today we will grow through the trendy topic of the CTV advertising by identifying the trends, the players, and the forces that will define the future of advertising on connected TVs. So during the whole webinar, you can use the Q&A section, and we will respond to your questions in a personalized email after the end of this webinar. And please note also that this presentation will be recorded and that you can also download it afterwards. So to give you an introduction of who we are, so Dataxis is a market research company and also event organizer. We have been in this field for more than 20 years. So with 3 offices in Berlin, Mauritius, in Buenos Aires, as well as different teams of analysts dedicated to these regions. We have developed a real expertise by providing market research, and we do it through our online database, on which we will spend, by the way, the majority of this webinar. And we also provide market reports on the following topics that you can see on the screen. It means TV, OTT and video, content distribution, telecom, technologies, and the media and entertainment industry in general. We also organize networking events that you can see here all around the world. And this year we will organize 25 physical events where we will discuss on the same topics that you can see on the market research. And we also supply digital marketing services to generate leads and engage your targets. And we do that through sponsored webinar, ad banners, but also white papers. If we look at the theme of today's webinar, the issue of advertising will be addressed during 3 events in 2023 in Europe, South America, and also North America. And the event in Europe that you can see on my screen will take place in Prague on the 10th of May, and will feature panel discussions with telco, pay TV operators, OTT platforms, but also content providers, and ad tech players. And being the leader in networking events through 20 years now, we guarantee a high audience with 200 decision makers, as well as valuable networking moments where you can meet the right person at the right place. So if you are interested in this kind of event to participate or to sponsor, feel free to contact me by email because you will have my address email in the last slide of this presentation. Just a few words also about our events across the Atlantic regarding the future of advertising. So 2 events will take place in 2023. The first will be on October 5th in Mexico City. And the second will be on December 12th in New York. So if you are also interested in participate or sponsor, feel free to contact me. In addition to our research platform, we produce some research highlight once a week on various topics, such as addressable TV in Europe, which you can see on my screen. So if you want to receive them for free, you can also subscribe directly on our website. So now, after this introduction of who we are and what we do, I suggest you to get to the heart of the matter of this webinar, namely the road toward TV advertising. So I propose you to switch on our platform. So just to give you an overview of Dataxis and all the market research we provide, as you can see here, this is all the topics we will cover. It means that we'll track the TV distribution with the pay TV by operator with forecast until 2027. We'll cover also the broadcasters side with the revenues and also forecast on that. For the TV channels, we'll track the audience share, the package and the channel reach, the usage of the TV, the revenues of the TV channels, and also the packages and the prices. On the OTT market, we'll have the split between the SVOD, AVOD platforms with also the Amazon channels. So we'll have the number of subscribers, revenues, ARPU, market shares, and forecast until 2027. And we track also the partnerships made between the OTT platforms and the operators, as well as the fast channels with the potential reach of each fast channel. And then you can also see that we track the content with the cinema, the box office by country, the video games, publishers' revenues and devices, and also the TV programming costs. In the sports side, we'll track the distribution with the channel reach, the broadcasting rights, and also the manner that the sports is distributed on the different channels. And we track also the leagues and the teams with the revenues, and also the OTT tracker of sports teams on social media. And then we track also the telecom side with the broadband, fixed broadband by operator and mobile by operator, as well as connected devices with the device sales by country, but also the installed base of the smart TV with a split by operating systems and also forecast on that. And we track also technologies, infrastructures, mobility, audio, and environmental data. I show you that because this webinar we will go through the different dashboards that we'll have on this database, and it's an opportunity for me to present you our whole service. So, to begin with the topic, I choose this first dashboard related to the advertising expenditures history by media, and I think that it's important to observe that the evolution of advertising expenses on the different channels is important in the past few years. Here, we can observe a major trend that the majority of advertising spending is done online and on television. This is what you can see in orange and yellow. And with a strong increase of online advertising in the past few years, becoming now the main channel used by brands for their advertising expenses. The case of France here is a good example, and it illustrates the trends happening in Europe since a few years. And for example, in 2022, more than 20 billion euros were spent on the online channel instead of 5.6 billion on the television channel. So the interest here is central because brands have a growing need to better target their audience and to segment advertising as much as possible. And today, it's easier to target an audience online than on TV. And today, also, targeted advertising is mainly done on connected TVs. All other initiatives launched have been marginal. We can mention ad replacement on set-top boxes and the HBB standard also. It's also important at the beginning of this webinar to define what we mean by CTV advertising. CTV advertising combines digital platforms of TV channels, video sharing, and also fast and AVOD on the TV sets. Players like Rakuten, Roku, LG Plus, or Samsung TV Plus that are already major players in the sectors. If we move to the second dashboard here, and if we choose to focus on some European countries, we can see that today we have a plurality of brands present on the markets. In the particular case of Fire TV, we can see that the operating system has established partnerships with different brands in different European countries. In order to popularize its operating system, Amazon is partnering with Tier 2 and Tier 3 brands to control the content deployed by these players, whether paid advertising or other. And we don't have a duopoly forming, but rather a fragmentation of the markets, as we can see on the screen, with all the actors and all the partnerships made by Fire TV in the different countries in Europe. Maybe I can refresh my dashboard. So the idea of this dashboard was to observe the phenomenon of these partnerships made by Fire TV But we can observe the same phenomenon for Vida, Tizen, WebOS, RDK, Roku, and TiVo through other brands. And among these actors, Vida, RDK, and Roku are currently Dataxis customers for the market research for several years, and they consult our data on the connected devices module and also other modules. So this dashboard was interesting to see the ongoing battle that take place in the connected TV market, and is now widely to observe in countries such as UK, because UK it's a very important country in this topic, because the UK is the third country behind France and Germany with a value of $7.5 billion in 2021. So if we move to the third dashboard related to the UK, so here, if I go to the country overview, can select the UK. And also the connected TV streaming devices. So what we can see here is that since 2020 in the UK, there has been a significant increase of the connected smart TV sets, because the historical player LG has seen its sales increase by 50% between Q2 2020 and Q4 2022. And also the undisputed leader of the sector remains Samsung, with just over 6 million connected TVs installed. There are players like Panasonic, Toshiba, Sharp, Skyworth, or iSense growing in volume. And this is what we can see on the screen. By the way, the category other suppliers that you can see here, we don't precise all the actors, but this is something that you can access always with the support center, which is always part of our corporate subscription in market research. And in this category, other suppliers, we can find players like Arcelic, Skytech, Cell Electronics, and also several tens of. On the side of the connected TV streaming devices at the right here, we can see that the Amazon has the largest market penetration, followed by Google with Chromecast and Apple with Apple TV. We have chosen here to focus on UK, but this data is always available for a lot of countries that you can see with this filter. So yeah, we chose to focus on UK, but this kind of data can be available for all these countries. So what we can see with this graph is that the penetration of smart TV sets is therefore becoming more and more important. And it's also possible on this other dashboard to observe the forecast concerning the evolution of the installed base with a split by operating system. So if I go to the view market evolution by operating system here, and if we continue focus on UK, okay, maybe we can move to the UK and let's maybe try another country like Germany, because it's always an interesting player and country on this field. In Germany, for example, the vast majority of the market in 2022 is shared by Tizen here in green and Android TV in blue. And the gap is likely to grow in the coming years. By 2027, a sharp increase in connected TVs is expected in Germany, especially for these two operating systems, Tizen and Android TV. The emergence of CTV advertising will not only concern TV manufacturers, but also broadcasters, SVOD platforms with hybrid model, and also AVOD players. So I suggest you now to move to the fourth dashboard related to the AVOD players. And we can come back to the UK for this one. So if we go to the market shares, if we select the UK, with a split by AVOD service. So what we can see on this dashboard is that AVOD platforms are rapidly gaining popularity around the world. nearly 2/3 of consumers will use at least one AVOD service monthly and spend nearly 9.5 billion on paid subscription services in 2023. With this viewer in their sites, all the major streaming platforms are joining the market with an expanding mix of offerings for consumers to enjoy and for advertisers to leverage. So as you can see on these charts, the different market shares we have for Q4 2022, you can see that the major part of the market in UK is composed by GAFAM and BVOD actors like BBC Group, that you can see in third position, with 27, with 27 monthly active users. We can see also Channel 4 with the platform All4, with an important number of monthly active users also. And we can see actors also like ITV and UKTV. And if all these AVOD players will have their role to play in the future of CTV advertising, SVOD platforms are also moving, as seen recently with the release of their advertising offers. And we can find an overview of this movement in the following dashboard. So for this one, we can focus on North America region for 2022. And we can go through the market shares and select only AVOD and SVOD. So for North America, this is the numbers we have. And I want to talk to you about the last study published by Video Week in collaboration with Pluto TV, because they predict that by the end of 2023, all the major SVOD services will have launched an ad-funded tier to complement ad-free options. By the end of 2024, half of these providers will also have launched a fast service. And by 2030, most online video service subscription will be partially or wholly ad-funded. In fact, SVOD platforms are no longer gaining subscribers, and their golden age now seems behind them in terms of volume growth. They must therefore change their value proposition and turn to hybrid models. And this is what they do actually with ad insertion, which is an example of a growth lever for this type of platform. But these hybrid models can be seen now in this view, and it shows us that the SVOD revenues are like, So it shows us that all these platforms with the SVOD revenues in blue and AVOD revenues in orange, we can see that a split is already made between SVOD and AVOD for players like Hulu, Paramount, HBO Max, or Crunchyroll. And this is very interesting because it's already on board for this moving, but we can see that Netflix revenues are mostly about SVOD in 2022 for this dashboard. They were already present in the advertising segment, but it was not very representative. At the end of Q1 2023, the two countries where Netflix advertising offer seems to work pretty well are France and the US, with respectively 1 million and 1.4 million of monthly active users. With caution, because the figures of France have not been confirmed by Netflix. But this morning, Netflix revenue projections were revised downward, with $441 million in advertising revenue expected for 2023, compared to 561 million previously projected. Then we would like to caution about the deployment of advertising offers for SVOD players, because Netflix executives estimated last year that the ad part could represent up to 10% of the group revenues by 2025. But we are more here on a complementary income than a global transition. If we continue focusing on SVOD, and if we move to the American markets, What we can see also is that the leading platforms and the new business model represented by the advertising offer allow them continue to grow. As we can see in the United States between Q1 2021 and Q4 2022. Here, we can see, for example, the two trendsetters, Netflix and Disney+, with a stagnating number of subscribers, in the middle of other players who arrived later on the market and who still have a high growth for the moment. By the way, here we only have 15 players, but if we play with the filter here, we can have all the players in the United States because we track all of them on the SVOD side. If we go now to the forecast that we predict for the SVOD platforms, so we can move to the view market evolution by actor. In USA, so in terms of subscribers in USA, the future is thus rather positive for these SVOD platforms, for which Dataxis forecast a significant increase in volume until 2027 in terms of subscribers. By successfully transitioning to hybrid models with a clear view and a clear business model for the consumer, we think that they can take full advantages of this innovation in terms of subscribers. If we move to the revenues we forecast for these platforms, for the revenues, a loss of revenues is expected for Netflix, as you can see here, from 2023 to 2024, due to the launch of the advertising offer, because it's considered difficult for Netflix to have more subscribers than today in terms of volume, given the evolution of the market and the increasingly intense competition. But the major trend is an increase of the revenues also of these SVOD platforms. In addition to these SVOD platforms, fast players are probably the trendiest and most important topic of the last few months. They are also related to the future on advertising on OTT platforms, and we can now move to the dashboard related to the fast. So in this one, if we go to the market shares by selecting Q4 2022 and the UK, so here we are. Before going into the data and the fast channels we track, I suggest you provide the definition to this term, because like most terms in the industry, people will have their own definition. Some people say free ad-supported TV, while others use free ad-supported streaming TV. Firstly, starting from the back of the acronym, we have the T. So fast is television. Then it looks and feels very similar to the traditional TV experience, because the content on fast services is presented in linear streams via a list of different channels, and users open a channel and see what content is playing at that time, rather than choosing what content they want to watch at any given time, as it's in the case in the video on demand. So fast growth really started taking off around 2019. And over the next 3 years, revenues grew by almost 20 times to sit around 4.5 billion in 2022. And this growth is predicted to continue over the coming years. If we focus now on this graphic and on the dynamic UK market, the ranking of the fast services with the highest amount of monthly active users is composed by Vivo TV, Freeview, Play, All4 and My5, with more than 10 million monthly active users in Q4 2022. We also here find actors like Samsung TV Plus and LG Plus, which aggregates a range of fast offers, but it's not a coincidence to find them on content offers, because here they are only aggregators, because they manage the inventory, the platform, and obviously get paid on the advertising integrated to the content offer. We have another interesting dashboard related to the fast. This one is more about the potential reach that the fast channel can have. And in these tables, we will track the distribution of these fast channels in the UK. So I can move again to the UK, but as you can see, we track also this one for a lot of countries. So for the UK, as you can see in the past few months, it's really a general trend where we can see that the monthly and the potential reach is always increasing, and there is no exception in that. So it's really interesting to see that, and it's a great demonstration of the interest people have on the fast channels, and also obviously a proof of the important role and position that they will have with the advertising. But just to finish on the fast, there is still a need for education on the value of fast and its unique selling proposition around brand safe environment, non-skippable advertising, and high quality user engagement. Because users are very engaged with what they are watching, and that's why the actors try to get that message across to advertiser. At the same time, fast advertising is a type of CTV advertising which is very popular with buyers. In fact, advertisers can combine the targeting and measurement of digital advertising with TV's quality experience. And we've seen that big TV buyers are increasingly investing in CTV, with a rise also in smaller advertisers spending on CTV too. And many of these advertisers haven't been able to run TV campaigns, as traditional TV is always costly. But with CTV, these brands can run campaigns with a smaller budget at a smaller scale. And we see that CTV advertising has more of a branding channel than a performance channel. And finally, we can already see that those brand budget shifting to CTV in countries like in the US, and also across a few international markets like UK, Germany, or France. So now we are coming to the end of this webinar. Just a few words about the upcoming webinar. So the topic of the next one will be about the evolution and the challenges of the connected TV in Europe by analyzing in particular the smart TV operating system offer, which is increasingly developing and segmenting the TV markets. So thank you all for your participation in this webinar. I hope you found the figures presented interesting. If you want to have more details about what we offer in terms of market research, and if you want to see again this webinar or forward it to colleagues, we will send you the link just after the webinar. So thank you again for your attendance. Sorry for the little troubles with Zoom at the beginning of the webinar, and I wish you all a great day. Thank you.